going to tell you enough for you to watch, because you need to watch it. It's a good movie. The father now goes through so many circumstances in life. He made a mistake. No, he made a decision to end his abuse from his father, because his father was an alcoholic, but his father was an elder in the church. And one day the son and the father and the mother at church, and the preacher called the altar call, and the son felt compelled to go. He went to the altar, and he said, he told him what was going on. He told the elder, and the elder looked up at the altar, and the father recognized that there was something going on. The son was telling something. Son come home from church. The father takes him out in the yard, make him force himself to bend over, and he beats him in the back like a slave. And he makes him quote scriptures out of the Bible while he was whipping him. To honor thy mother and thy father, that thy days may be long, as he struck him with that whip, with the belt, to the point the young man literally collapsed. So now he's grown up in life with a bitterness with the church, because the God that should have preserved him did not do what he thought he should have done. But little did he know, God was with him all the time. Right. Little you know, in your circumstance, God is with you the entire time. Right. It just looked bad. Tell someone, it just looked bad. In fact, tell them, it just looked crazy. And it might be just crazy. But God will take the crazy of the circumstance to get the glory. He'll take your lemonade and create lemonade for you, so that you can drink it, because the enemy is trying to tell you that what you're going through is beyond God's ability to deliver you. Remember, the devil is out to destroy you because you represent God. And as a believer, every time you speak faith, every time you talk about faith, the devil is going to do everything he can to invoke circumstances in your direction to sideswipe you, to not stand on the ground of promise or believe what God said. And in the same part of this movie, this young man is growing up, he's in church, and his precious daughter at camp is taken captive by a pedophile. And he kills the girl, and he violates her. So he's now literally mad with the world. He's mad at God, because he felt like God should have protected him, or his daughter at least. And then God turned this thing around in a unique way, where God forces him to make a decision to be God, to make a judgment. That is, you got two children here. Each one of them got some issues, circumstance. And what you got to do in order to be what you say I'm supposed to do as God is, you got to decide and judge one to go to hell and one be with God. And he said, I can't do this. And then I thought about that. God gave everybody an opportunity, in spite of your circumstance, to turn this thing around. It doesn't mean that there wasn't grace available, and grace was available, but what it mean was you taking a risk not turning your life around by allowing circumstances to dominate you with craziness, that God is against you. He's God. Tell you now, he's God. If he can bring you to a place of salvation out of your circumstance, he can also preserve you in the midst of your circumstance. Because he never promised you and I that we would not go through circumstances in life. We are going to have issues. We're going to have battles. We're going to have storms. We're going to have hurricanes in our life. We're going to have tornadoes come in. We're going to have famine. All these things will at some point of life affect you. But it doesn't mean God's not with you. It's where your faith is. Where's your persuasion is? Where's your confidence? Do you really believe God can bring you through this circumstance? Do you believe God can turn this thing around and work it out good for you, for your good? Because the Bible says all things work together for what? The good of them that what? Love the Lord and that are called according to what? Tell your neighbor, I have a purpose in life. So that's why you go through circumstances, JR. Because of purpose. God's divine will is to perfect you for the kingdom will, that God may get the glory, and through the circumstance, it'll put you closer to God. How many have some situation in your life that forces you to pray? Huh? Because sometimes we get so comfortable and so relaxed on how we are and what we got that God has to allow certain things to happen to remind you to give him the glory. He deserves all praise. Not only do you have circumstance, but imagine the circumstance that God deals with each and every day. People trying to persuade people not to be with him anymore. People letting circumstances of their life determine where they serve him anymore. He's good enough to give you stuff, but you can't serve him when you're going through. Right. So you're not the only one having circumstance. Heaven has its circumstance. That the devil had to be kicked out. First eviction of a lifetime. Yeah, that's the first eviction. Yeah. But many of us don't understand that our lives have already been predestined and determined by the Father of what it's supposed to be. Right. Nothing is going to happen to you that God would not have involvement in. Right. He's already working it for your good. That situation, that relationship that did not work out, is not working out, it's not for your demise or your defeat. God has a plan. He can turn it around or make it better. It's a lemon. What are you going to do with it? Just going to hold it? Or are you going to make you something that tastes good? Right. You're on a desert island. All you got is 2 lemons. You just going to hold the lemons or you going to eat the lemon? You got to learn to take your circumstance and let them work for your good. Right. Bring about first word. Faith. Somebody say faith. It is strong or unshakable belief in something without proof or evidence. That's faith. It's strong, unshakable or unshakable proof in one's belief system that what one is facing, God has given them the ability and persuasion of the mind that they can overcome. For we may overcome us, what? By the blood of the Lamb and by the testament of our mouths. What you testify or what you speak of in faith will bring the evidence of what will come to pass. If you never speak reality, speak life into your situation, it was not going to change. A person only going to treat you as bad as you let them. The day you stand up and say something and do something, it when the circumstances changes. In fact, tell someone, you change the circumstances. It's easy to say, I'm waiting on God to turn it around, but in reality, Carnell, God is waiting for you to turn it around. Right. Because God, He's got everything under control. He's waiting for you to believe and stand on the promise that He promised you is going to happen and watch God do it through the process of you believing. In other words, don't let what's out there convince you differently than what God already said. If you said God said it, you let it be settled and you let that be what it is. Don't change it, don't alter it, don't work with it, plan with it. Just stay with what you said God said. Right. Because God is a God that comes in proof. So that's faith. Unshakable. Look at someone and say, be unshakable. Be unshakable. In fact, the Bible says, be steadfast, unmovable, always. Not sometime, always. Continually abiding in what? Because this thing going to work in your favor. You got to abide. Don't get in and jump out. Stay with it until God brings you through it. Second word is alter. That is to change or make different, modify. Yes. So faith alters circumstances. In other words, let your faith in God alter the situation by changing it and make it different or to modify it. Same situation, you're going to make an adjustment to it. Right. Got lemons, I'm going to squeeze it and get the juice out of it. That's good. Right. I'm going to let this work in my favor. This is what's been handed me. This is what's been given to me. And I got to tell you what's been given to me and let it work for me. Yeah. It's not going to work for me if I don't use it. So God tells Moses, He says, Moses, what's in your hand? Because Moses comes in a situation, you ever get in a funk? You ever got in a funk before? Is it funk? Straight funk? Chilling funk. Just in a situation. And you about to go murmuring, complaining. You about to go whining and bickering and being bitter. And then God asks you a simple question like He asked Moses. Moses, what's in your hand? And basically what God telling Moses, man, use what's in your hand. I've given you provision. Yeah. I've given you the supply. I've given you what you need. I have not gotten you here with empty-handed. Right. You're just too lazy to utilize what you got. I believe if you're really hungry and you really want to eat, you go fishing. Fishes are free. Unless you go on a private pond and fish real quick and you jump out and go leave. But if it came to a point, if I had to feed my family, and based on food situation, what I would do, I would go down to the Chattanooga River. If you're hungry enough, you trust me, a lot of fish you're eating have come from places that you least expect. Just fried and burn up the stuff. A little salt, hot sauce, and mustard, and go with it. How many know when you're hungry, you ain't got time to be complaining about, ugh. Now, I don't like mayonnaise, but if there be a famine, I'm going to eat all the mayonnaise they got. The kind you only stuck in your mouth like that. Y'all seen people that eat a sandwich, and that man, they be sitting in the corner of their mouth, and you be want to tell them, please get it, they just keep talking. Hey, how you doing? That is a circumstance I cannot endure. But I would go to the river and I would throw my rod in my fishing rod, the hook into the water and fish. Because if I got a fishing rod, if I got a cane pole, I have the ability to retrieve food. Or I can sit back and say, you know what? Nobody won't give me nothing to eat. Sometimes you got to make your way the way God said it. You got the God-given ability in you. He made you to be kings and queens. He made you to be the head, not the tail. So why are you settling for less when God says, listen, use your faith. Right. Believe me, in me, and I can do all things. So you modify. You make the adjustment, and making the adjustment of the situation, of the circumstance, things will change. Somebody say change. Our last word. Circumstances is the sum of determined factors beyond willful control. There are some things in life that are literally beyond your control. But even though they're beyond your control, they're not beyond God's control. The woman that had an issue of blood, it was beyond her control of what she was going through. And in her circumstance, what she does, go to the scripture. And a certain woman which had an issue of blood 12 years, someone say 12 years. 12 years. That's a long time. But it's something about the 12. Something about the 12. Someone say something about the 12. Next verse. And had suffered many things of many physicians, meaning she was been tested and tried and prone and stuff, and had spent all that she had and was nothing better, but rather grew worse. She didn't get better, but got worse. Didn't get better, but got what? The circumstance got worse for where she was at. Keep going. And when she heard of Jesus, came in the press, when she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind and touched his garment. For she said, she said it, before she pressed, she said, if I may touch but his clothes, I will be made whole. My supply is available. He's walking by. He's in my presence. Is what I need is right before me, but I got to press to get to him. And many people are lazy that they won't press. What you need from God is right there, but you got to do something. Got to press. First, she says, I recognize I got a situation I've endured for 12 years, and I'm tired of this. I've spent all my resources trying to get help and assistance, and no one can help me, and I'm stuck in a position where now all that I had financially, I'm financially run, I'm bankrupt, and now what can I do? Because I had nothing left to do, nothing left to spend, nothing left to pawn, nothing left to exchange. I have nothing left. But I heard that Jesus was in the city. And so I decided to make my way to the Savior. I don't know if he can do this, but I believe I touched the hem of his garment, because somehow I've heard that many have been blind or seeing. Many that are dumb are now can what? Dumb can be what? When they're dumb, they can't talk, correct? They're talking. They were blind, they now can. Someone died, he raised them up. I've heard all this testimony about this man named Jesus. So I said, if he did that for them, if he made a way out of no way for them, in their circumstance, because when you're dead, and Jesus raised you from the dead, that's some powerful stuff. So she said, if I can make my way to him, and I can just reach out and touch the hem or the clothing of his clothing, not so much him, just the cloth on his back. That's some serious faith. I ain't got to touch your hand, just let me touch your clothes. And she made her way and she touched him. And she became whole. And Jesus turns around and said, who touched me? And then all the disciples around said, wait a minute, Lord, all these folks around here, you got a lot of kin folks, all kind of folks up in there. They're pressing on you. And Jesus said, yeah, I know that, but I felt I felt someone's circumstance being made whole because they touched me. And because they touched me, the virtue that's in me is changed from me to them to give them what they need. So I need to know who it is who has such faith that they will make themselves available to touch me, that they be made whole. Oh, that's some good stuff. What we got here? What we got here? My circumstances. But if I just touch the hem of his garment. I know there's a lot of people around. I know a lot of people know him. I don't have any money to get an opportunity to get in. I don't have that connection. I don't know nobody. But I heard if I just see, when he's in the city, and if I, in my persuasion, from what I've heard of him, and it's evident he can do this because he's done it for many, and I was told he's no respecter person. What he's done for one, he'll do for all. He came to save the world. I'm a part of the world. He can save them. He said he can save me. No matter how bad my situation is, he still is available to help me through my process. So I just need to touch him. And she touched the hem of his garment, and she made whole. And Jesus made the announcement, and he tells them in many terms, listen, your faith has made thee whole. Your circumstance created a lemonade because you touched me. Your circumstances are true, and you can identify them, but they are there because it's going to bring you to me. And to me, it's going to bring you out of where you are because you've been stuck too long being where you are. So in order for you to come out of this, you got to learn to trust in me and have faith that I can do it. The only way you're going to know I can do it, you got to come to me. And you're not going to come to him with things going well. Circumstances will make you go to Jesus. Am I right about it? And once she recognized, once Jesus did it, she didn't try to pretend like it wasn't her. But out of reference, she says, Lord, it's me. Maybe the ones that are around her that had circumstances had spoke by faith. I got the situation, but if I can just touch him, instead of me juggling with it, I just need to. Because my problem is not going away, but it's only going to go away when I operate in faith. The unmovable thought process that says, even though it's complicated and no one in my family has gone to college, but I'm going to go to college because I know God got plans for me, that means I'm expecting in. Right. So even my situation is historically bad, historically sickness, but I got faith in God's ability to take this circumstance that I've been born with to deliver me from. That's good. Tell your neighbor, you can be delivered. Go to my next chapter. Matthew chapter 17, verse 20. Look at verse 20. And Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if you have faith as a grain of what? Mustard seed, you shall say unto what? this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall what? Not might, it shall, and nothing shall be. Howbeit, this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fast. Sometimes men and women of God, you got to pray and fast. And that may be the time God called a fast right when you're about to celebrate the holiday. But you got a circumstance. Your situation is urgent. Your situation is a necessity. That God's saying that you got to push away from the table. You got to close yourself away from some people. And you got to seek my face. Because right now, I want to deliver you from your circumstance. But you got to be willing to make a sacrifice. Because I already made them for you. Now you make one for me now. But Lord, I had plans. I've already sent out the invitations. In fact, I already accepted the invitation. Go, but just don't eat. But God, you know. They don't have prime rib one time a year. But you got a circumstance that need to be resolved, and God's telling you to the Holy Ghost that all you got to do this day is push back from the table. But you don't want to push back because you got to have that pink meat. Got to have that fulfillment. Got to have that thing one more time. And God is telling you, don't do it this time because this is the time I'm coming through, I'm passing through, and you need to be available. Because I'm already available. You got to avail yourself by being willing to do what I said do, that your circumstance can change because only by your faith of obedience it's going to happen. Is it good stuff? Somebody say prayer. Prayer is to literally go before the Father in a speech and a communication with requests and a moment of a communication with the Father in regards to things about your life. That's prayer. Seeking the face of the Father, not his hand. Seeking his face, not what he can give you. Seeking his face for what his plan is. Seeking his face for what he wants you to do. Seeking his face, not so his hand he can give you something because he's already given you enough because your circumstance haven't changed with the stuff. It's only going to change because now you got to be obedient. The car did not change your circumstance. The house didn't change your circumstance. It created a mortgage. But the circumstance is that God can take the circumstance and work it in your favor. Listen, men and women of God, you have to understand, in order for something to change in your life, you got to have faith in God. Not faith in it, but faith in him. Because it will perish, but him will always remain. Are you learning something? So howbeit this kind only go out by prayer and fasting. Fasting is going without food for a certain period of time based on what the Holy Spirit told you to do, and because he knows that this is a time of urgency in your life, and this urgency is going to require you to fast. And fast is not because you didn't eat all day that you count it as a fast. That's not a fast. You just wasn't hungry. A real fast, you get hungry before it starts. Am I right about it? You ever get, somebody talking about a fast, you start getting hungry before the fast, you're talking about, you're going to eat all this before the fast start, how you going to eat when you come out the fast. You got all these circumstances, and all you can think about is the circumstance, and you forget it. You can't focus on the circumstance, you can't focus on the will of God, because you're looking at the circumstance. I got to eat. My medicine. Yesterday, my mother-in-law couldn't find a coffee cup. So she accused Michael of putting a coffee cup in the trash. Michael's in Florida. So Mother Morgan gets up. Normally, she says she's cold. Ooh, oh, y'all. Oh, he hit it all over. Oh. So Mother Morgan decided, she wanted a coffee cup. And she was determined to get a coffee cup. No matter where it was. It's in the trash can, outside. All kind of trash is in there. Maybe maggots, I don't know. So I said, Mother, why don't you just get another coffee cup? Just go to the store. In fact, we got all these coffee cups up in the cabinet, right? You just drink one of those. But when you're stubborn, you don't want to do that. You just want your coffee. So she just walk on out there with no cane. She just walk on out there and get it. Went outside, it's cold and everything. Her little house coat. So she was gone so long, I said, Mo, you think she done did a split out there and fell? Because she been gone a long time. And I'm saying, I know it's slippery or it's wet and it's muddy. I don't imagine motherfucker over there like, so her circumstance, her coffee cup is in the trash. On the assumption and accusation. Assumption and accusation. Micah did it. Micah at the beach. Did y'all go to the beach yesterday? For a couple seconds, you know, got a chance to see the water. And so all of a sudden, she discovered what a coffee cup was. It was in the dishwasher the whole time. Covered with the pot. So she fought the pot for covering the coffee cup. She didn't first tell nobody. I guess she's trying to hold her pride because she knows And I'm thinking, how much pride do you have to go get it the trash? So I said, now, the best way I'm going to help this circumstance, I'm going to take that cane, I'm going to shred it. Because Mother Buck went all the way to the trash can, in and out, came back in the house, made her coffee, and went on her, what you call it, 2B? My point is this circumstances sometimes will have you doing things that you thought you'd never do. Yeah. Never thought. She would go to the trash can, and it's cold. So don't adjust that heater no more. Because you got endurance in you. It was too cold for me to go out there. So she went out there like, okay, let me move on, for I don't have a place to go home to. Messing with y'all circumstance and telling my family business. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 38 and 39, we wrap it up from the scriptures. Look at Hebrews chapter 10. It says, now the just shall live by faith. Somebody says, just shall live by faith. Notice it says, now, N-O-W, at this now moment, the righteous live by faith. Now the just shall live by faith. My circumstances are present, but now I live by faith. My circumstances are coming against me, but I live now by faith. That now the just shall live by faith, but if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him. So God says already, he said, if you're a faithful person, if you're faith, you shall continue the process. You'll go through it. But if you withdraw yourself, God said, I have no desire of that. Right. Either you're in or you're out. Right. Either you're for God or you're not for God. Right. Either you're faithful or you're not going to be faithful. You got to choose which one you're going to be. If your circumstance is more dominant of you being faithful to God, then you have already yielded yourself to your circumstance. And you've already drawn back. And God said, if you draw back, I have no pleasure with you. If you say you love me, love me. If you say you're going to fulfill my assignment in your life, fulfill the assignment. Don't let the circumstance determine whether you fulfill God's assignment. Because we all have them. It should be the thing that make you do even more for God, for all he's done for you. Last verse. But we are not of them who draw back unto perdition, but of them that believe to the saving of the soul. Regardless of my circumstance, I believe with all my soul that God's going to work it out. I have had too many experiences. I've had too many opportunities what God has already done for me to let a circumstance now to determine where I continue to serve God, because everybody that goes back on me, I'm going to go back. I'm committed to the call of God. I've sold out, and I'm persuaded by faith that whatever God said can happen in my life is going to happen, because I have a faith of a grain of mustard seed, and I'm going to take my limit. I'm going to make something out of it. Not going to settle. Not going to give in. Let me give you 7 ways how to alter your circumstances by faith. Number 1, don't allow it to dominate your faith in God's ability. Don't allow the circumstance, to dominate your faith in God's ability. If God has done it one time, if God has done it several times, cannot God do this one thing? Is there anything too hard for God? Yes, your credit is jacked up, but God still can give you favor if you only have faith. But if you live based on your past and based on your circumstance, you'll never step out on faith. Only person really can tell you no and get away with is God. No man can just tell you no. No, because if God said it's yours, it's going to be yours. But if you don't step out to go get it by faith, it ain't going to happen. Right. Number 2, speak life into your circumstances. Yeah, call that thing for what it is. I see you, yeah, you do exist, but you know what? I know God's going to do it. Yeah, I'm not going to let my people talk me out of my blessings. I'm not going to let them talk me off the mountain, I'm trusting God by speaking life. Yeah, you know, you're 40 years old. There ain't no more husband for 40-year-old women. That's a lie. They haven't seen me. See, if circumstance be the reality, then you'll say, I'm 40 plus, there's not enough men. There's a lot of men. You just don't need to get a jacked up, brother. Yeah, the good men are not far in between. There are men there. Them that still exist. You just got to wait for the right one. She had an issue for 12 years. She had to wait for the right one. That was Jesus. 12 years, she suffered. 40 plus, you don't have a husband. Or plus, you don't have a wife. But how many know if God got, it's not that what God has for you, if what God would give you based on your heart and desire, it's going to come to pass. You got to be willing to wait on it. So you call that man. I call my Boaz to existence. Boaz, not but a Boaz. A righteous man. Love God more than he loved me. Got a job, got good credit, or at least working on it. Got transportation. Got his own place. See, I'm speaking those things that what I want from this person, because my circumstance, based on what they say my biological clock, is that nobody get married at a certain age. And that's a lie. Folks still having sex at a certain age. So still they still can get married at a certain age. If they're still having sex at 75 years old, that means they still can marry. You just got to be willing to wait. Don't give up the kibbles. This is a Christmas message. Don't give it the gifts. I mean, think about it. If people are still intimate at a certain age, that means they're still available to be getting married. Yeah. If you're good enough for him to be with you at a certain age, you ought to be good enough for him to marry you or her to marry you. Yeah. I hear the train coming. Somebody said, thank the Lord. Number 3, shift the atmosphere with a praise. In other words, your circumstances are troubling, they're bothersome to you, but go forward with a praise. That's right. Start exalting God in the midst of the circumstance. Just say, God, I'm going to give you glory no matter what I'm going through. I'm going to bless your name because of you all. I love you, Lord. In other words, I'm praising God even in the middle of my circumstance. Praise him to the point that when I go to the service and get there, I say, man, we can't do that for you. You already been delivered. We went looking for one thing, but when we got there, it wasn't there. Because before you went in under the anesthesia, you was giving God a praise. And if you didn't realize, you was praising God in surgery. They thought you were converted, but you was praising God even under anesthesia. Yeah, this happened. People have got miracles just because of giving God praise. I was watching my granddaughter, Elijah, Nicole was doing this song with her. And as Nicole was saying the song, Elijah was saying the song. Elijah, yeah. I can't get my baby name right. Lala was singing the song. The Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. So in the middle of my circumstance, I can teach my child to give God a praise. Because the praise was what we do, and praise will bring us out. So the more we give God praise in our circumstance, before you know, you're out of the situation. I mean, when you was in the clubs, no matter if bad, you still went to the club and have fun, didn't you? I mean, you went to clubs and listen, I'm going through, but I'm going to have a time tonight. Why can't you have an attitude we come to church? I'm going to, but I'm going to go give God a praise today. I'm going to let God know I appreciate him. Because you let the devil know you appreciate him when you went to the club. Ducking and hiding. Y'all saw a prophet in that little wine glass, that little glass, on that picture back in the day, she out with her buddies. And number 4, whatever you do, don't settle due to fear. Don't let fear make you settle. That go back to the relationship. Because you're of age, don't let fear tell you your biological clock is running out. That, you can't get a man. If Sarah can have a baby in her old age, surely it ain't too late for you either. Ooh, it got quiet. No woman said amen to that one. Brothers and ladies, hey, hallelujah. I asked my wife, I said, you know what? If I really, really, really want a child, number 5. Seed into what you're believing for. Yeah. In my circumstance, see, some things you leave alone, you just go ahead and just. All right. Number 5. Seed into what you're believing for. Whatever you're believing God for in the middle of your circumstance, learn to sow. And sowing is not always about money to the church. It's learning to sow in other people's lives. Being a gift to somebody else. Being a blessing to somebody else. In the middle of your circumstance, help someone and watch God help you through somebody else.
That's right.
Number 6, remember who's your God.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm going through. I'm in a storm. Things are bad. I got a bad medical report, but you know what? I know who my God is. I got to remind myself. I got to stir the give up in me. And God can do this. He's done it before, so he never failed me before. He's not going to fail me now. There's no failure in him. But if I just do what I'm supposed to do, remind myself who my God is. My God is not what I drive or what I live in. My God is who I serve. So my God is able to do for me what I can't do for myself. Last but not least, take a fresh start by doing it again. Come on, honey. Take a fresh start by doing it again. Because 2018, for all of us, have come with circumstances, have come with situations and trials and letdowns and disappointments. But God is faithful. And no matter what you're going through at this very moment, God is able to bring you out of this circumstance if you just have faith. Faith in God. Faith that you can do it. Faith that you can take the lemon and make something good out of it. No matter what they have said or what they thought about you, or how they treated you, the circumstances of your job, find a way to be positive about it. And say, Lord, whatever you're doing for me in this season, in this circumstance, I'm going to trust you, and I'm not going to lean to my understanding. I'm going to believe you because, God, I'm going to be willing to take the leap of faith. You see that slide there? That's a leap of faith. Circumstance is a distance between them. Him or her get on the other side. Sometimes you got to take a long start and run as fast as you can and jump. Because the devil trying to keep you from being what God wants you to be. Everybody standing. What is your lemon? What is your circumstance? What is the process? have you begun to turn this thing around? You literally wants to literally, if I just have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, you can say to your mountain, you can say to this living situation, this circumstance, God, you can turn it around. In fact, you should be able to say, God, we can turn this around. Because I'm doing what you said to do, is to believe.